What's up, Mudmouth Millers? I'm Quackers Co., and this is the fish fry for November 28th, being held at Fission Hydro Plant. Our cookware for this rotation is the Aerospray MG, the Splattershot Pro, the Bloblobber, and the Rapid Blaster Pro. This is a fantastic composition for Fission, but we have to keep in mind that most of this composition is going to eat up ink. But this composition has some incredible paintability to it. The only thing that might be a little bit difficult is getting some damage all the way there to the shoreline. That Bloblobber and the Rapid Blaster Pro can do their best to get that taken care of, but we might find ourselves pushing towards that shoreline, so make sure that we do our best to get ourselves back. And try to not get too much tunnel vision focusing on a boss, especially with that Bloblobber. Try to get those blobs moving around as much as possible. On a high tide, this range works even better, but we have to make sure that we still focus on those priority targets and taking out steel ills before they get too close. And the same thing goes for a low tide. Those steel ills are always a high priority target on Fission. And try to make sure that none of those blobs from the Bloblobber go to waste. You can send a steady flood down any of these lanes with the Bloblobber as long as you keep moving from side to side. And those sides are perfect to reach towards some of those shoreline bosses. And make sure you lure the lessers away from the basket and those easy splat bosses to the basket. On a Glowflies wave, you have some pretty good damage output to hold that line, so make sure you be careful about when you choose those chances to stop holding that line to toss in or run in an egg. If the only person that's dealing the damage output is the Rapid Blaster Pro, then that's a problem. On a Griller's wave, this range also works incredibly to our advantage. Make sure you put that Aerospray or the Rapid Blaster Pro on small fry control, and things should be pretty easy. On a co-op charge, the Splattershot Pro should definitely be in the turret, just because of the amount of ink that weapon uses up. Just like normal, as long as a couple people are in those turrets, dealing damage to those shoreline bosses, and keeping those cohawks at bay, it should be pretty easy clear. On Mothership and Mudmouth waves, this should be a pretty trivial composition for it. Just make sure you keep that Bloblobber moving around to take out boxes, and to keep some of those lessers on control. The Bloblobber can have some incredible damage output on single targets. On a Goldie Sig, it would benefit if the Bloblobber player tried to stay in front of the Goldie and try to keep pace with it. It can be hard to time out when those blobs are going to hit if you're far away from the Goldie, so try to keep yourself as close as possible. On a Giant Tornado, since we don't have any super duper good crowd control weapons, try to be careful once you're in the middle of the map and those lessers start dropping. It's incredible how fast you can find yourself completely surrounded, body blocked, and splatted. So let's keep our movement tight here at Fission and get some clears. Okay, let's get into the cookware. Our first cooking utensil is the Aerospray MG. The Aerospray MG has some incredible coverage to it, but its range is just a little bit short. So if you find yourself going down to the shoreline, just remember that you need to get yourself back. Use that incredible mobility that this weapon has. Its range is also just short enough that it'll probably be easier to just go ahead and climb fish sticks and take them out, instead of trying to be at the ground level and getting some tunnel vision. Our second cooking utensil is the Splattershot Pro. The Splattershot Pro deals some incredible damage downrange, but it also eats up your ink real fast. The range is also just perfect for reaching fish sticks and stingers. You may have to get just a little bit close to some of these big shots, but just like the Aerospray MG, make sure you use this weapon's incredible mobility to get yourself back and deal that damage when you have a little bit of safety. Our third cooking utensil is the Bloblobber. The Bloblobber's range comes from how far the blobs can go, so keep that in mind before you get too crazy aggressive with this. You can keep an incredible amount of distance as long as you can get those blobs to hit. The way that this weapon shoots also makes it really easy to paint the walls here in the corridors. Just make sure you position your back to one of the walls and aim at the other wall, and your blobs will paint both sides of the corridor. And as I mentioned before, the Bloblobber can cause some incredible damage to single targets, but it also can do really good at causing damage all over the map, so try to get those blobs bouncing all over the place, and then when you need to, concentrate that damage and take out some of those bosses. Just like with other sloshers, to take out fish sticks, the Bloblobber works really well at aiming towards the right side of the rotation, that way your enemies stay in your reticle for a longer amount of time. Our last cooking utensil is the Rapid Blaster Pro. The Rapid Blaster Pro can be an incredible support tool, and with this composition, it really needs to be. We're going to have a bunch of teammates going down there to the shoreline and pushing towards shoreline targets, and it will be best to go ahead and support them, taking out some enemies before they can knock them into the water. And if all goes as planned, they'll be tossing eggs up to you, and you'll be able to get an easy quota. Just make sure you don't get too much tunnel vision with this weapon. It can be a really good tool to take out fish sticks, but if you're not able to take it out too quickly, there's probably going to be something that sneaks up behind you and bumps you down to the ground or into the water. This weapon is also the best weapon for taking out stingers, so keep your eye out for that and try to stay on stinger patrol. On an extra wave, the Splattershot Pro and the Bloblobber can easily cause some constant damage to the Kohozuna, and using their range, it'll be easy to break away from combat in order to take out a boss and get some of those golden eggs. With the ink efficiency of the Aerospray MG and the Rapid Blaster Pro, they can easily move around the map, taking out lessers, and using their bombs in order to take out some of those priority targets. There are also some pretty good weapons for taking out stingers, so it'll be best for them to push towards the shoreline and make their way back. That way we can all cause some damage to the Kohozuna. And as always, look for that moment right at the beginning of the extra wave, where you can activate your special to not just cause some damage to the Kohozuna, but to also take out some bosses, spawning some golden eggs early on in the wave. And the fish fry usually comes up before the stage rotation, so if you want to catch these updates when they're hot and fresh, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. And if you want other fellow Grizzco employees to receive these tips, make sure you like and share the video. Bye-bye! To give the fish fry an algorithm boost, just comment what your favorite or least favorite weapon is of this composition. My favorite is going to have to be the Aerospray MG. I really like having all these walls painted here on Gone Fission, and this weapon takes care of the job, no problem. Alright, bye bye guys.